This is lesson 4 of biodiversity. We will be looking at two people mentioned in your textbook, Jared Diamond and Edward Wilson. Okay? Edward Wilson is especially important because he is the father of biodiversity. We can't be learning so much about biodiversity and not knowing who the father of biodiversity is. So, father of biodiversity is Edward Wilson. So, Jared Diamond and Edward Wilson. Okay. So, why are they important? The important parts that we will be looking at is Jared Diamond listed 4 factors that cause species extinction. So who is Jared Diamond? Jared Diamond is an American geographer and anthropologist. He coined the expression evil quartet for the 4 main human causes of species extinction. Evil quartet means a group of 4. So, what are the 4 main human causes for species extinctions? So, these are human causes, okay? Causes that we make. First is habitat loss or fragmentation. It is easy to understand. If we destroy a habitat, everything in that habitat dies. The second is overkill. That is over-exploitation, over-hunting, or over-destruction of groups of animals or plants. Third is introduced species. A species that is introduced into a new ecosystem from another ecosystem. And fourth is extinction chains. Now, Edward Wilson, who is the father of biodiversity or the father of sociobiology, also listed something like this. Factors for biodiversity depletion according to him are habitat destruction, climate change, invasive species, pollution, human overpopulation, and overharvesting. Overharvesting is much like the overkill that Jared Diamond was talking about. Okay, so killing off an organism or over-exploiting groups of organisms, that is called overkill or over-harvesting. Now look at the third point in both these cases. Okay, Jared Diamond talks about introduced species. Edward Wilson talks about invasive species. So what exactly are these introduced species or invasive species? Now I want you to have a look at this piece of news that came in Live Science. The heading of the news is, cats in Australia kill over 2 billion wild animals each year. Okay, now this is a figure that I have problems wrapping my head around. See, 2 billion wild animals each year, and this is a picture of a cat, a feral cat, as you can see. Okay, so cats in Australia kill over 2 billion wild animals each year. Now, why did that happen, or why is that continuing? Do you know that Australia did not really have cats? Okay, so the cats entered into Australian territory around the 17th century. So what does that mean? Cats were not native to Australia. That means that cats are an introduced species. So what is the opposite of introduced species? The opposite of introduced species is native species. How did cats appear in Australia? See, around the 17th century, it is thought that a Dutch ship, cats came to Australia by Dutch shipwrecks. So introduced species can come into an ecosystem either accidentally, shipwrecks, and things on the ship moves into an island. So it is not done purposely, it is an accident. So an introduced species can come into an ecosystem either accidentally or they can be purposely introduced. Later on in Australia, cats were purposely introduced. Okay, they were introduced on purpose. Why? because the settlers found themselves battling against a massive number of creatures which they deemed were totally undesirable to their peaceful existence. For instance, the settlers found that they were drowning in millions and millions of mice and rats. So they had no practical plan to get rid of these rats. So what did they do? They brought in cats, feral cats, wild cats. They brought in these cats which were not domesticated, and they let them roam free in the Australian territory. Now, what happens when such introduced species are brought in? See, not all introduced species are dangerous. Sometimes they just get along with every other species in an ecosystem. But what went wrong with these cats is that these cats mercilessly started hunting down hundreds of creatures, all sorts of mammals, birds, breaking up their eggs. They went on a killing spree, and it threatened the biodiversity, it disturbed the food web of the place, it brought the ecosystem into a massive chaos. Okay, so that is why now feral cats are a big threat to Australia's biodiversity. So now I think you might have understood what an introduced species is. An introduced species is the opposite of a native species. So an introduced species is brought from elsewhere and put in a new environment. So what is an invasive species? See, when an introduced species starts to exist at the expense of the native species, so much so that it starts to overwhelm the native species, it starts to take over the ecosystem completely, such a species is called invasive species. So not all introduced species are invasive, but all invasive species are introduced species. I hope you understand. Okay, so not all introduced species are invasive. Any introduced species, when we bring it into a new place, it need not suddenly become invasive. But we should understand that all invasive species are actually introduced species. Okay. So cats, from an introduced species, they became an invasive species in Australia. Actually, there was news that by 2020, Australia is planning to kill 2 million cats. Okay, so culling of these animals, that is also a very difficult process. It poses many questions, including moral questions. However, it has become impossible to control the number of these cats. Okay, so invasive and introduced species, we have to keep that in mind. Now I have written and I've given a small description here about invasive species. An invasive species is a species that is not native to a specific location. That is why I said the opposite of introduced or invasive species is native species. And that has a tendency to spread to a degree believed to cause damage to the environment, human economy, or human health. Now, a classic example that we can talk about in our country is the constant fight that we are having with this plant called Prosopis julifera. I have listed here it as an example. Prosopis julifera. See, this has become a major problem in Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, this is known as Seemai Karuvelam. And this is actually an introduced species. I have put a picture here so that you recognize it. You might have seen it. This is Prosopis julifera or Seemai Karuvelam. This was brought into Tamil Nadu around, I think in the 19th century, in the 1870s, because people understood that having this, this tree grew very fast. It's almost like a big shrub, like a big bush. It grew very fast. It did not need much water. It could withstand arid climatic conditions, and it gave them plenty of fuel wood. Okay, so the wood could easily be harvested for burning purposes, okay, as fuel. So Prosopis julifera was brought in 1870s, but later this introduced species, it became an invasive species and it started spreading, vastly into all sorts of ecosystems. Now this has become a major threat because people are unable to control its spread. The same problem is being faced in the Aravalli Hills, okay, the Aravalli ranges, where in North India, where they call it Vilayati Kikar. Now they don't know how to get rid of this because once you pluck it out, it again regenerates fast from its roots. So it is becoming impossible to control Prosopis julifera. You can list it as one of the introduced species that became an invasive species. Now, one of the ways in which it can be controlled is actually by planting ficus trees, trees of ficus species. Ficus in the sense, say, trees like banyan, which actually spreads out quite a lot and it blocks the sunlight. So one of the best ways to actually kill off Prosopis julifera is not actually to keep pulling it out by its roots because it's not proving to be effective, but it's actually to cut off the sunshine so that it slowly dies off. Okay, so anyway, this is a classic example of an invasive species that we people are fighting with, Prosopis julifera, C. mycaruellum, or Vilayati Kikar, as they say in the north. All right, another example of an introduced species that became an invasive species is this. This is called a comb jelly, C-O-M-B jelly, comb jelly. This became a massive threat in the Black Sea. Okay, Black Sea, which is between Western Asia and Eastern Europe, to the north of Turkey. There is Black Sea, and this comb jelly actually was accidentally introduced into the Black Sea, probably by waterways and through ships and all. It was introduced there, and it became a massive threat to the fish population in Black Sea. Okay, so now you understand how introduced species and invasive species become a great threat for biodiversity. So these two factors you have to learn, that is Jared Diamond listing 4 main human causes of species extinction, and Edward Wilson listing out factors for biodiversity depletion. All right, and we also learned what is an introduced species and how an introduced species can become an invasive species. All right, now we move to these are some examples of extinct animals. Human beings have caused the extinctions of hundreds and hundreds of animal and plant species. Okay, now what we see here is a Tasmanian tiger. All right, look at those stripes. This is called a Tasmanian tiger. These are some of the last pictures available of the Tasmanian tiger before it completely died off. And what we have here is a sea mink. Again, it is extinct due to human action. We also have West African black rhinoceros that we hunted into extinction. We have passenger pigeons that were hunted into extinction. We have an animal called the quagga. Quagga is actually a subspecies of the zebra. It was famous for its unique stripes. Again, human beings marvelously hunted them down. We had the Caribbean monk seal, which we hunted into extinction. So hundreds and thousands of species have been hunted into extinction by humans. So this is something that we have to keep in mind. This is probably the biggest threat to biodiversity is actually human beings. Okay, now before we wind up, we have to probably look at how we plan to overcome biological destruction of biological diversity. in this regard, we will look at Convention on Biological Diversity. So what exactly is Convention on Biological Diversity? So Convention on Biological Diversity is a multilateral treaty. Okay, it was introduced at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro on 5th June 1992, and it entered into force in 1993. So Convention on Biological Diversity is a multilateral treaty, and it has three main goals. First, conservation of biological diversity. 2, sustainable use of its components. And 3, fair and equitable sharing of genetic resources. You can actually use this information if there is an essay on what we are doing to protect biodiversity and so on. So we can actually talk about Convention on Biological Diversity. This where a lot of countries come together and they discuss how they would like to protect biodiversity, and the idea came into existence in 1992 at the Earth Summit. Earth Summit is probably the most important event that happened for the protection of environment. So Earth Summit that happened in 1992, it was a massive event, and Convention of Biodiversity is a multilateral treaty that came into existence during the Earth Summit. So if there is a question on what are we doing to protect environment or biological diversity, you can actually include something on Convention on Biological Diversity. You can write that CBD is a multilateral treaty, and CBD has 2 supplementary agreements. One is Cartagena Protocol and the other is Nagoya Protocol. Just 2 names you can remember, not a big deal. Cartagena Protocol and Nagoya Protocol. Okay, Cartagena Protocol is on biosafety, just know that much. Cartagena Protocol is on biosafety and Nagoya Protocol is on genetic resources. Okay, we learned about genetic diversity in the last class, right? We know that there are 3 types of diversity: genetic diversity, right? Then species diversity and ecosystem diversity. And we know that how important genetic diversity is in maintaining biodiversity. That is why the Convention of Biological Diversity has 2 supplementary agreements. One is Cartagena Protocol, which is on biosafety, and the second one is Nagoya Protocol on genetic resources. And probably the last thing you have to remember is that International Biodiversity Day is on 22nd May. You can just keep it in mind. So 2 new things you can study, which is not there in your textbook. One is that Edward Wilson is the father of biodiversity, and International Biodiversity Day is on 22nd May. So I think that's pretty much at the end of the basic information on biodiversity. United Nations is just by the way. United Nations Decade on Biodiversity is from 2011 to 2020. See, we are at the end of it. So we know the importance of biodiversity. This year is very important for biodiversity. And 22nd May 2020, International Biodiversity Day. And the theme this year is International Day for Biological Diversity. Our solutions are in nature. That's the theme for this year. Our solutions are in nature, and of course it is